This woman woke up to find herself in a convenience store, but to figure out how it all happened, she'll have to tie up her hair and take off her coat, because that's the only way she'll be able to break out of this place. But she just doesn't know if she's going to survive, if she's gonna make it past 10 minutes, because in this seemingly peaceful place, but there is a deadly opportunity hidden everywhere. The woman just glanced at the nearby vehicles. She immediately realized the weirdness of the vehicle. Then she took off the license plate to reveal the real number. She didn't realize she was in another country until now. What kind of magic did the people who captured them have? How could they all appear in another country overnight? And this car not only has a special license plate, the whole body of the car was strange. The woman soon realized something was wrong. She saw a transparent thread tied to the door handle. The thread went all the way down. It turned out that there was a C4 bomb strapped to the bottom of the car. This kind of bomb is very powerful. A 50-meter radius of the explosion will be reduced to rubble. But the woman doesn't seem to be afraid at all. She is calmly lying within 5 meters of the car. Originally she wanted to warn the others not to approach, but she didn't expect a sudden noise from the sky. She was so scared that she looked down to avoid it. When she looked up again, she saw a drone watching the convenience store. But then there was a gunshot. The drone was suddenly shot down. Then a bearded man came out and angrily stomped on the drone. It turns out that the bearded man is also a kidnapped person. Soon they agreed to work together. They decided to follow the railroad to escape. But a few minutes into the journey, this woman has suddenly changed her behavior. She suddenly stopped and stepped aside and began to undo her pants in front of the men. It wasn't until she suddenly squatted down. The man realized that the woman had to pee, but the woman hadn't finished peeing yet. The woman suddenly sensed that something had changed on the railroad. She grabbed her shotgun in a panic. Then she sat down on the railroad track, and then she stared ahead with a very cautious eye. Then she started running without saying a word, and then a train came up behind her. She was going to use the slow speed of the train to get on. Soon the two of them were on the train, but there was a strange noise coming from inside the train. The woman rushed to aim her gun into the darkness, but there was nothing in the darkness until the bearded man threatened to shoot. Then they realized that a large group of refugees suddenly came out from behind the wooden crates, but they didn't speak the same language as the refugees. They didn't understand what they were saying, and now the bearded man was afraid to trust strangers. He always thought that these refugees were in disguise, so he raised his gun and prepared to kill them all. But then the train suddenly braked sharply. The refugees all hid in fear. Soon they heard the sound of hyenas. When they looked outside, it turned out to be the military looking for the refugees. The bearded man went to communicate with the military and reminded them that these refugees are all actors. They're just disguised as refugees and they're trying to kill them. But the military didn't understand his language either. But then the refugees suddenly showed his true colors and communicated with the bearded man in English. But when the bearded man called out to the soldiers in fear, the refugee pretended that he didn't understand English. When the soldiers turned away, the refugee even made a tempting offer in English. It turned out that he was the only one in disguise, but those refugees were real refugees. The soldier in front of him is also the real military, so he warned the bearded man to be honest. He also kindly suggested letting the bearded man and the others run first, then he would chase after them. The bearded man was instantly furious and pushed him straight down. Many grenades fell from his backpack, only to see the bearded man grabbed a grenade and shoved it directly into his crotch.